Stephen Grove. He's the founder of Jupiter and Jupiter Blockchain, as well as Sigbo Technologies, right? Who has been a part of blockchain technologies for the last 8 years. Like I believe Stephen has been in this space since 2013, right? And today we'll try to cater to all the questions that there are on blockchain, and how to get started on developing on a blockchain, right? And how to make some useful apps on blockchain. Please make sure that if you guys have any question, just but we'll love to answer all the questions that you guys have right now. Just post them in the chat box. We'll try to cater some of the basic interest areas that you guys will be aligned to. But if we lack somewhere, definitely you know ask a question in the chat box and we'll get back to that, right? One quick question for the audience: how many of you guys have actually heard about blockchain? Can we have a quick yes or no in the chat box, please? Please feel free to answer with a no too. I just want to know how many people are active in this group, and how many people are actually listening about this hottest technology that we have, the technology that is flipping minds, and the prices are going high. People are making money. People are actually making a whole career out of these technologies, right? So I want to actually see how many people are active today in this session. Okay, this is less than what? Less than 10 maybe? Not a lot. Not a lot of people are worried about their careers or opportunities that we are going to present them with. Okay.
That's about par for the course. You know why? A lot of developers that I know that are in the traditional world, they don't want to know anything about blockchain, and I don't get it. And they don't understand that they will be dinosaurs in 3 to 5 years. They will be the guy or the gal at McDonald's that wants to scoop fries, but we've built robots to do all of that for them. And that's
Indeed.
what you guys and gals are doing. You guys and gals are building robots to outmode normal human beings in that sense. Decentralized finance, Web3, blockchain technology, that is the future of the internet. Just like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, Google Meet, those things are Web 2.0 or Web 2.0. They are dinosaurs. They are already old technology. They just kind of put lipstick on a pig to make some of this stuff fresh. Web 3.0 is going to change everything at all levels of network capabilities and usability.
So, Stephen, can we, have a basic distinction of Web 2 and Web 3 for our audience here, so that they understand what exactly it is?
Yeah. So, basically, the biggest change between Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. Web 1 was read. You went to a website back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and you went to a website and you read what they put. Facebook, some Google, Twitter, those types of websites kind of pioneered and ushered in Web 2.0, which you go to a website, you read what somebody says, and you can also write other things, blogs, Facebook, your wall in your Facebook or whatever it's called, threads, Twitter, back and forth on Twitter. That's Web 2.0. Web 3.0 is you can go to a website, you can read it, you can write it, but the website you go to, you own it. So it's read, write, and own for Web 3.0. And the reason that's a good distinction is because right now, when you go to a free website, you are the product. Right now, Google is scraping every single piece of data they can out of this webinar, out of the chat, who signed up, who's here, and then they build a profile, whether you have a Google account or not. They set a cookie because you said yes when you came into the meeting, and it'll track you all over the internet. And then they're going to sell that profile. It may not be named Steven, but it's a profile that of my browser history and my browser characteristics. And then what happens is they sell it to advertisers. Google, Facebook, They are advertising companies. They are not software companies anymore. The biggest difference between Web 3.0 is when, so take my project for an example. We have what are called Metis containers, and they go on sale in the next few weeks. And what those are they're little containers that go in your house. So think like an Amazon Alexa, but they're not connected to my company. They're just a hardware device that run blockchain. They run Metis, which is a fully encrypted messaging system. And you can add things like Jitsi. Jitsi is an open source, fully free, fully anonymous web teleconference app, just like meet.google.com, except for I don't go to Google to let them scrape all of my data. I can have a Jitsi server on my device at my house. I own that web conference. What that does is it takes the advertising dollars out of the mouths of the billion and trillion dollar companies, and it gives that power to eventually, when we build the systems, when you build the systems, because I'm old, you guys are going to be building this. I'm old. When you guys build the systems, my kids will be able to sell their data as they see fit and make money on their data because they're giving their data to somebody else, not a third-party company like Google, Facebook, and Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok, and all those other companies. Web 3.0 democratizes the entire internet, and that's massive, and it's ground, earth-shattering, shaking stuff. And on top of it, you also have built-in payments. Bitcoin, Jupiter, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, all 5,000 cryptocurrencies that you can use are built into this permissionless system. So that's amazing. Web3 is, if you are a developer and you are not building Web 3.0 applications, you're a dinosaur. Go find something else to do, because you're wasting your time. You're wasting my time as a visionary in this ecosystem. So yeah, get on board. Blockchain and how you do things is how this internet keeps going forward. Did I hit how you own it, Ankit? Just want to make sure I answered his question before we go on.
Yeah. This was a very nice question, Ankit. Can you please explain more on owning it? I believe we have already taken up owning.
I think we did. Yeah, I think
yes.
I hit that. I just wanted to make sure that they understand. Okay. So yeah, Web 3.0. If you're not doing it, get the hell out.
Ankit, if you need more explanation on it, you can always post a question here. And guys, please post as many questions, as many doubts that you guys have, and we'll try and clear all of them. Nice question, Ankit. There is one question that I like to ask here, Stephen. What are the incentives for developers to start building on Web3? Now, I believe a lot of people here will be interested in knowing, like, why should they even go for it?
Getting a job, that's your incentive. So I understand that people want to just create shit coins and tokens and try to get rich. You're not going to get rich. It's not going to happen. However, and if you do get rich, it's because you scammed people out of their money. And I'm not here to advocate that. I'm here to advocate you all being developers, and the way you become good developers in the future for the future internet is learning how to build applications on blockchains, not how to copy and paste code for tokens. That doesn't do anything for the ecosystem. And if that's what you're going to do, I don't want you. But the best way to do it is to find a project like Jupiter that you are interested in, because you feel some sort of power or some kind of connection to the community, to the founder, to the marketing director on Twitter, whoever. And then you do a little research, you come into the community, you join their Telegram, you join their Discord, you come to these kind of events and you listen to how to get involved and how to get started. And then you go check their GitHub repository. Good projects like Jupiter, all of their code is open sourced. All of our code is open source. So you start and you look and you go, okay, well, Jupiter is the blockchain. You download Jupiter, you go through the API infrastructure, and you say, okay, I understand APIs. I know how to do this. After that, the how the blockchain works is abstracted from the developer. The developer is essentially building a distributed version of a Web 2.0 app. So instead of Facebook owning all of the Facebook connections and you going to the Facebook website on an AWS server or their server farm, you would go to the little container that's in your house, and that container talks to all of the other containers that run that particular application. So Metis is a great example. Let me hang on. So yeah, let me go to your next question, or go ahead and do something. I'm gonna see if I can find. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I can. Can I share my screen?
I believe so, yes.
Let's see. I want to share a window, and I want it to be this window. Can you guys see that? It looks like a chalkboard.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, so this is Metis. So you can see in the top left, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in the computer screen, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The difference between Web 3 and Web 2 is Web 3, which you're seeing right here and displayed in front of you. Each of those Metis container circles, the white M that's surrounded by green, every one of those M's is a different server located in a different place that are not connected to each other. The only way they're connected is by the Jupyter nodes at the very bottom of that, on that arrow. And the reason that's important is because on my phone, number one, I can send a message, hey, this is cool. And number two can say, hey, yay, no censorship on a different Metis server. Number three can say, hey, no more spying and no more ads from big tech. And number four can say, Web3 is the future of the internet. All four of those participants see the exact same thing. However, none of them are on the same Metis instance. They literally only talk through encrypted blockchain. And that is the main difference between a Web 2.0 app and a Web 3.0 app. And I wanted to point this out so you could see the difference of a regular app and Web 3.0 app. So that's where I wanted to show why this is so much different than Web 2.0.
That's really, really cool. Can we, Steven, can we have functionalities of Metis? Like I've already seen the application on Play Store. I believe that would be very insightful for everybody here so that they can actually understand how to build an application using blockchain, right?
So, so on Jupyter, we have the Jupyter blockchain, and then we have our Node SDK. I'm going to put in the chat link to our GitHub, which I think it's above, but I'll go ahead and type it again. And it's not so much I'm not going to tell you how to program. That's not my job. That's the university's job. What I am going to do is, if you go to this website, Jupyter Project, you will see all of our repositories. So you'll need Jupyter, you'll need Node SDK, and then your basic web framework, your Node, your Express, React JS, or if you want to be a Python developer, that's the best part. You don't have to use any particular programming language to build on top of blockchain. But the most web friendly and client side friendly is JavaScript. So a lot of people use JavaScript, and that's what we do and how we build Metis. The way we are now incentivizing developers to build applications is, you like I said earlier, you go into a community, you kind of see what they're all about, and then you build something for free. Build it in your free time. Build it for a project for your school, because you always have capstone requirements and all of those things. Build something for free and then tell the community, hey, I built this thing for free. And people will say, hey, that's really cool. And then they'll use it. And then you start building a portfolio, and then people will hire you to be a full-time developer for their project, or you can do freelance work. I have one developer that's a freelance developer that he's not quote unquote on payroll, but he gets paid every single week, because I need him to do stuff and I pay him every week. And then I have a firm that I keep on retainer that I have a contract with that I pay, I pay them every 2 weeks, and they work on projects. They're working on Metis. They built our image manager software. And then I have a regular Java developer that I pay in Jupyter, and I pay him when we do releases. So I don't pay him very often. I pay him when we do big muscle movements, and I give him a bulk amount of Jupyter. So and that's the other thing. There are so many different ways to get paid in blockchain that you don't have to be so worried about having a full-time job. I've been in the military for 20 plus years. I don't have a regular job anymore, because there's nothing else that I want to do. This is the stuff that I want to do, because my kids won't need bank accounts. My kids will have blockchain. They'll have wallets on their phone that they can send money around the world for pennies on the dollar or fractions of a penny on the dollar, if they're good kids and they use Jupyter. So, being a developer, it's just like being an assassin. You have to practice your craft. You're not just going to get it and be good. And if you get it and be good from the get-go, you're not listening to me anyways, because you're already out there building stuff. So you have to continually work at this. You won't just show up and make millions of dollars. It's not going to happen. However, you're going to be able to have a very good life. And just like the Web 2.0 companies that made they did make billionaires and they made millionaires. You can, but those are few and far between, just like Web 2.0. It doesn't just happen to everybody that gets into the space, but not every single software developer is a millionaire either, but they still do it because they like doing software development. That's really the big thing is, go to a community, pick one you like, and start building stuff. And that's the best way to get the attention of the community and get jobs. Like, hey, this guy or this gal built this really cool system, and they moved on. Or somebody will ask me. I get questions all the time from other communities that say, hey, this guy or this gal messaged me and said they built this for Jupyter. What do you think of them? Yeah, they're great. Or no, they didn't. Because there's scammers in the industry. Just like any other industry, we've had the Nigerian prince for fucking 30 years. So it's one of those things. You just got to have your due diligence.
I believe.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Utkarsh has asked a similar question only on the lines that you've ended, right? So can you comment on the trustworthiness of the cryptocurrencies? Now, I believe we'll have to expand on this, all the scams a bit here, so that our audience is well entertained or well knowledgeable now, so that they can actually identify something like that if it's something like that is happening.
So the trustworthiness of cryptocurrencies. So you have to abstract that into two categories, because there's two ways to look at trustworthiness. The trustworthiness of the actual cryptocurrency is very high, because it's proved in math. There is mathematical certainty to every single transaction that is ever done on any modern cryptocurrency. The trustworthiness of the actual cryptocurrency is 100%. The trustworthiness of people that show up and build Shiba Inu is 0. So don't be Shiba Inu. Don't be you know. So yeah, that's really all that. Google scam or something. I like.
Uh, I believe, Stephen, we might have to, tell them a distinction between, what could be, good fundamentals when it comes to good fundamentals of a chain, right? Or for that matter, of a token, right? If we can have some comments on that too.
On what project is trustworthy?
Not really what project, or how can they actually find something that, in a project itself that they can,
Basically, if you know who built the blockchain, or if you know actual people that founded the blockchain, that you see them on the screen and you know who they are and you can go Google them, that's when you want to build on. That's the one you trust. If it's some dude on Twitter that's got, if you don't know who they are, don't trust them. Then that's really from a very top high level view of the world for people that are just getting into the ecosystem. If you don't know who they are, don't mess with them. Once you
True.
learn the ecosystem, then people will then you'll be able to decide for yourself who you can and can't trust. There are people that I would trust with all of my private keys that I've never seen. I've never talked to them in real life. I've never seen them physically. But I would give them all my private keys because that's how much I trust them. But I've been doing this since 2013, and I've known this person since 2014. And I know we would reciprocate because I've actually held his private keys with thousands of Bitcoin in them. So I know that this person I can trust. Anyways, so yeah, if you can't see them, don't trust them until you get into the ecosystem and learn about it. If you just start going out there and buying whatever's on Facebook, cryptocurrency market, whatever, you're just going to get burned, and then you're going to hate it, and then you're never going to come back. That's the honest truth. You're not 99% of you in this chat are not going to get rich because you bought a Facebook meme coin. It's not going to happen. And everybody in here knows somebody that did get rich. Every person in here knows somebody that got rich because of blockchain, and that's probably why they're here, which is fine. It's fine. That's why I got in 2013. I saw Bitcoin do this, and I'm like, I got to figure this out. Guess what? I figured it out. So, business model for Metis, you have to have Jupiter to send Jupiter messages or Metis messages. So it's not free. Right now, it's free for you because my company fronts the initial Jupiter into your account. But it is not free. And I don't collect PII. We don't collect your phone number. We don't collect your email address. We don't make you sign up for nothing. It's like creating, you're literally just creating an account, and our system knows that you created a new one. So we send you Jupiter to that account, and then you can talk to people. So yeah, that's the business model. People buy Jupiter. And then companies that don't want an open internet protocol for Metis, they want to, say the Army, the DoD, they're going to want this. I'm going to build an entire infrastructure for the DoD using Army system, whatever, and it'll be the same thing as Jupiter, but just disconnected. And then what I do to make it valuable for Jupiter public holders like myself and everybody in here, hopefully, I have to take, being Sigwo Technologies, my business has to buy Jupiter and hold them. And that how many ever Jupiter I hold is how many Jupiter this system or this company gets. And that's what they have to operate. And if they get too big and they need more Jupiter, I have to buy more from this side and release it on this side. So these two ecosystems don't talk, but they're very highly correlated on how that supply gets constrained. So that's how I make it, how I incentivize building private models of what I build in the public space for companies that don't have their stuff is too sensitive to be even encrypted with their encryption on a public network. So that is the business model. Jupyter's difference is basically it's more affordable. You go try to build on Ethereum, you're going to spend $600 to deploy your contract, and everybody that messes with your contract today is going to pay $30 to do anything. Jupyter, you're going to pay fractions of a penny to release your asset and fractions of a penny to sell it and buy it and send it. That's the main difference. Basics of blockchain. When the audio recording comes out, listen to the first 10 minutes. Or Google what's a blockchain.
All right. I believe we can, share some information about how can they, at least how can they build it, right? Utkarsh, I believe the question could be reframed in that way, like how can they actually, get started in building it? I believe,
So go to the GitHub project. It's
and
3
yeah,
messages. That's your university professor's job to tell you how to develop. I'm here to tell you that you need to build on blockchain. You need to build Web3 apps, and Jupyter is by far the best one to build on because of the affordability, and the community. And for them, when you build your stuff, your application on top of it, you can incentivize it with your own asset. You create an asset, Starbucks, and to use your system, you got to have 1,000 Starbucks assets. Perfect. You don't have to worry about the blockchain part because the blockchain part is my responsibility, and the open source developers that build on top of Jupyter or build Jupyter in our GitHub repository. And it's all, it's all there and open. It's just a matter of picking what you want to do and how you want to build it. We built Gravity. It's a framework that's, it spins out basically a blockchain application in 5 minutes. The code needs to be updated because we've hard forked Jupyter to change the fee structure, and Gravity doesn't have that new transaction fee set because we've been building Metis, and then we'll go back. So that's really the main thing is, go surf Google or surf GitHub and look around. And if you get there and you're like, I don't like the way they built Jupyter and Node SDK. Okay, well, build your own and then submit it and I'll pay you. Like, we have developer grants. If you build cool stuff and you're like, hey, I built this, I'll send you Jupyter. I have no problem sending people that build stuff Jupyter at all. And if it's something that you're like, hey, I'd really like this, that's how Lita got built. Lita is an NFT marketplace. I had somebody message me and they're like, hey, I really like NFTs. I think we need to build something that looks like that is similar to OpenSea on Ethereum. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I'll build it. Perfect. He built it, came back. Now I pay the guy $3,500 a week, $3,500 a week, because he's now my freelance developer, and that's how you get jobs. So now this guy makes what, $14,000 a month because he built something for free. Like, that's what I'm trying to tell you. And he doesn't, he doesn't have a token. He doesn't have an asset. He doesn't do anything but message me on Monday morning and say, hey, am I still working on the same stuff? Yep, keep going. Friday, he sends me an invoice and I pay him every single Friday. So that's how you get that's how you get an easy job. And now he works from home, does whatever he wants. He's got his weekends for free unless something goes wrong. And I'm like, hey, Jen, I need help. He hops on, fixes it, and goes away. So quantum computing, stop. Okay. Yes, blockchain, some blockchains, most blockchains are fully decentralized. Quantum computing, listen, if they figure out quantum computing, the last thing you need to freaking worry about is blockchain. So stop. Like, go away. Will blockchains replace normal bookkeeping of transactions? No, it won't. But what it does is so let me back up. In my lifetime, probably not. I'm 40 years old. I've got about another 40 good years in me. Probably not while I'm alive. However, those normal keeping of transactions, the way you build the application, and this is what you guys need to figure out because you guys are the smart ones. You need to figure out how to make that normal book of keeping transactions on my container at my house pushes that ecosystem to the edge to everybody else through the blockchain. So it may be I have 5,000 transactions at my house. It packages it into one transaction and sends it to everybody else. So that's the yes and no. It will replace how normal databases work.
And okay, I believe, Stephen, we can take some stuff on staking too, right? We started in the early part, right? And we might, shed some light, a light on the staking as well as, the benefits of staking too.
Okay, yeah. So in Jupiter, we are a proof of stake blockchain. So you and in our ecosystem, we call it forging blocks. If you have 1,000 Jupiter, you can participate in the forging process, and it's a lottery drawn system depending on how many Jupiter you have. So it's weighted on how many Jupiter you have, and programmatically built into the protocol of Jupiter on how you get selected. There are no block rewards for forging. There's only 1 billion Jupiter. However, if you get a block that has a transaction fee in it, you get the transaction fee. So the usability and the amount of applications that are built on top of Jupiter directly incentivizes forgers, because the more transactions you have, the more transaction fees you have. And to supplement that for now, because we're just now really marketing the development aspect and bringing in new developers for Jupiter, the team, the Jupiter team, rewards on top of that per hour 3,000 Jupiter distributed to by how many Jupiter you have. So if there's 1 million Jupiter out there, they get more than somebody that only has 50,000 Jupiter every hour. So it's proportionately based on how many Jupiter you have. So that's if you're forging. You can also stake by just buying an asset called Forge. Same one-to-one ratio. So when you buy Forge, you spend 1 Jupiter, you get 1 Forge. You get every hour rewarded for how many Forge you have. If you want to sell your Forge, you're like, hey, you know what? I'm done. I want my Jupiter. Forge is always bought and sold for 1 Jupiter. It's not 1.01. It's not 0.999. It's 1 Jupiter every single time. It is pegged. There's no delineation. So that's a very safe way to stake on Jupiter and not even have to have a node running out, no cost out of your pocket. However, running a node gets you 20% more per hour because there's a cost associated with running a node, whether it be on a VPS server or your computer at home or anything like that. And there's some documentation on the docs site that I put on how to go through and stake and how to buy Forge. What we did, like as I was opening my Chrome browser this morning to get into this meeting, Europa, our browser extension for Chrome and for Brave, notified me that Google accepted our latest upgrade, which allows in-wallet buying and selling of Forge. So you don't have to open the wallet. You literally download the browser extension, you get your Jupiter address, and you send Jupiter to it. You buy it on KuCoin, you swap it, you put it in your wallet, and then you just click buy, and you just buy the Forge, and every hour you get paid. It's fantastic. So yeah, we're making this as easy as possible for everybody to get in, and it's affordable enough to where you can buy $30 worth of Jupiter, stake it, make money on it, and not spend $70 to do the transaction. So yeah, staking is fantastic, and we have Astro, we have other products that introduces a little bit of risk because of market dynamics. So Astro is one, you get paid more. However, there's no ratio of how many Astro or Jupiter you'll get for how much Jupiter you spend. So it's more of a trading asset that has rewards and multiplier effects added to it. So there's stuff you can read about that. Once you get into the ecosystem and you kind of poke around and ask questions, like I've said, we're more than happy to answer those questions when you come into the community and ask.
Now there is a question by Supreet. People are generating cryptocurrencies with their own unique names. What is this rationale and how it translates to actual currency conversion?
The crypto, so unique names. I mean, it's so you can tell them apart.
Could you, Supreet, could you maybe, reframe the question and ask again, right? What exactly are you, trying to emphasize here? How it translates to actual currency conversion? Yeah,
Yes, sir. Like people are converting there is Digicoin and some other names of coins. Then how it translates it? If I have to convert into actual currency in dollars, how it will translate all of these
all right. So you are talking about the rates of these currencies, like how exactly are those rates coming? Uh,
rates, and are they valid and how are they being done?
okay, how are those done? Those are all part of, exchanges, like
Markets.
yeah,
You guys decide how much everything's worth, just like the regular stock market. If you're going to buy Tesla at $1,000, it's because
hmm,
somebody will pay $1,000 for it.
right,
Market.
exactly. And it's actually supply and demand. As supply increases, and as the demand increases, so does the price, right? All the price manipulations are done according to that, right? It's similar to stock markets. Absolutely, as Steven said. Then again, now there is a question by Utkarsh. If I have some dollars with me, what are the differences among different cryptocurrencies, and if I have some dollars with me, in which one should I invest?
Invest in one you believe in.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely true. I agree with that 100%. And Bitcoin is just a part of financial world of blockchain. How do you think blockchain technology is going to affect other worlds as we are seeing a new meta world being created? Right? A very good question, Ankit. Yes.
So for the blockchain technology part, listen to the audio. But the meta world is something we haven't touched on, and it's not going to. I break the technology world into essentially two distinct groups, and it's basically everybody over 30. We're all dinosaurs. We think totally different about the world than what anybody that's under 30 thinks of it. So metaverse for me, nothing. I don't care about it. It means nothing to me. I don't care about it from a Steven standpoint. From a Jupiter founder standpoint, it's very important because the kids that are really 20 years and younger, they're going to have a virtual existence that they're going to walk around one day in a virtual world. They're going to, instead of logging into Facebook, they're going to log into the metaverse and go talk to their buddy. And they're going to have a virtual Rolex. They're going to have a virtual Gucci shirt on, and they're going to have a chain that's this freaking big, but they're going to pay real dollars for it because just like, people pay $500 for a pair of shoes to say I paid $500 for a pair of shoes, they're going to pay $500 for those physical shoes, and they're going to come with an NFT that says, hey, in your meta world, you've got $500 pair of shoes. My kids will do that because you know what? I pay for their freaking Fortnite skins. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing, except for in the future, when they buy a champion t-shirt, they're going to walk around in Fortnite with their champion t-shirt on. So yes, meta world and the metaverse and all of those meta things, except for meta, the Facebook crap, is going to be humongous. But I think Zuckerberg's more a robot, and he's probably going to figure this metaverse thing out. And I say that funnily because I just bought my kids the Oculus 2 or Oculus Quest things. So yeah, I just basically sucked them all in. But they wanted it, and they wanted. I was like, whatever, got, you know, hey, like I don't care, but I know my kids have to care, because that's the kind of stuff, if you don't learn, you're gonna get left behind, you know. And they have to know this stuff. You know, my wife, she gets upset when they're on the computer and they play video games and stuff. I'm like, babe, they got to know this stuff. Like, it's different than when we were kids. You know, the only thing I did when I was 9 and 10 and 12 years old is run around in the woods. That's all I did. I played stuff by, you know, down by the river, you know, and we moved, and we have 40 acres of woods and grass and toys, and they go outside sometimes, but they do a lot of computer work, because computers are the future. And metaverse, it's going to be just like it's in 5 years, this exact thing that we're doing right now will be in a virtual reality setting, and I'll be sitting on stage next to a virtual fire, and you guys will all be in the stand. You'll all be sitting there looking at me, and it's going to feel like you're at the freaking conference. That's the difference. And that's what you guys have to build.
Great words, Stephen. Uh, definitely, definitely. You know, all the things, and the burden of this thing is definitely on the shoulder of developers like them, right? All of them have to come forward so that such a technology could be built. Definitely. But other areas could be there that blockchain could be used in. Like, what do you think?
Blockchain will be the way. Blockchain and Web 3.0 would be the way that conference is held together. I won't connect to Google. I'll connect to my little box that's over here, and my little box will connect to everybody else's box. That's the way it will work. That's once you see it in action, you can't turn your brain off. And it took even me as the creator of Metis, the way it works. Because at first we couldn't figure out how to make it all sync. We couldn't take this Metis instance and this Metis instance and make them talk. We had two separate Metis instances, and we were like, this is not the way it's going to work. I don't want it this way. So we did a lot of research and a lot of work, and in 2018 we figured out how to do it. And the first time I saw my Linux laptop that had its own Metis server running on it with its own Jupyter node, see the messages I was typing in the web app on a different server, and it appeared, I was like, there's no way I want to do anything else. I don't want to build anything else, because this is how everything's going to work in the future. And it's going to work that way. And I don't care if anybody believes me or not. That's just the way it works. If you buy Shiba, you deserve to lose all your money. You're buying the top. Anything that's not called Bitcoin or Ethereum or Jupyter or somebody that's got somebody that you can see, you're literally throwing your money away. And like I said earlier, 1% of you is going to get lucky and make a couple dollars. 99% of you are going to lose all your money. So don't be part of the 99%. In 2013, 14, 15, I bought Bitcoin every single week, no matter how much it cost. I bought $25 worth a week. That's all I could afford. $25 a week for 3 years. And then 2017 happened. I still buy Bitcoin all the time. Like, you guys, like I tell my friends, because my friends, they're like, oh, you got lucky. Well, you know, maybe I did. But I tell them to do the same thing I did, because people that are my age, 40 to 50, if they're not doing something like I'm doing now, they're not going to be able to retire. Like I can go into a whole nother non-development talk about how you should invest your money, because saving your money is not doing anything, because everybody's fiat dollars are worth less every single day. So if you're saving in a savings account, you just go ahead and fucking burn it, because they're not doing anything with it. And if you're buying Shiba, you're not investing, you're gambling. So go down and put it all on red and pray, because that's exactly what you're doing. Buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, buy stuff that you see people buy. Jupiter. Our project has been here for 4+ years. I have nothing else to do but build stuff on Jupiter and talk to people that want to build on it, and reward them for building on it. The main difference between Jupiter and Ethereum is we don't have multiple billions of dollars that we have people just sitting. We're not sitting on billions of dollars, but you're also not going to get Vitalik to send you 100,000 Jupiter. So that's the big difference. You have access to me as the founder and the CEO of the project. If you tweet at Vitalik, you're not getting anything back.
That's as well, yes.
So basic. Don't worry about building blockchains. Build applications on top of the blockchains that exist. Early days of Jupiter, a lot of crying. Early days of Jupiter, I mean, I know I had a full-time job, so it wasn't something that I needed. It's a passion of, it's a hobby of passion. I love doing this stuff. And I want everybody else to do it. Eventually, in the spirit of Web 3.0, eventually I want the way people are rewarded to build on top of Jupiter to be automatic. I don't want it to have to go through me. I want it to just happen. And then be just another community member of Jupiter that just happened to be there when it was created. I think it'll affect. So Jupiter's goal is not to affect the financial world. Like, I'm not trying to build Ethereum. I'm not trying to build a compound or an Aave or any of that stuff. Like, I think that's where tribalism comes in. And, people like, oh, my cryptocurrency can do all of this stuff. Well, that's great. But what are you doing? What are you trying to accomplish? And what we're trying to accomplish is inclusiveness, affordability, and the ability for developers to build on a framework that is easy to get into. You don't have to worry about, what the gas price is going to be like. Sundays, you have to wait for the United States to be watching football because we spend so much in Ethereum gas. I can do anything on Jupiter any time of the day, and it's going to cost me the same amount. So financially, and then there's a few buckets of that as well. Like, so there's Bitcoin, which in my opinion has a totally different job than Ethereum, which has a totally different job than Jupiter. They're all cryptocurrencies. They all have financial products. We can all move money around. They have 3 distinct different functions. Bitcoin is what I will never sell. I buy Bitcoin. It goes into a hardware wallet, and it goes into a trust. Ethereum is what I buy, sell, and trade with, whether it's on Uniswap, SushiSwap, KuCoin, whatever. And that's what I borrow against. I borrow against my collateral of Ethereum, because Ethereum, in my opinion, is more financial products than anything else. You can't build an application on top of it because to send a message is going to cost you $80. Well, who's going to spend $80 to send a message? You can spend $80 on Jupiter and send messages for the next 30 years. What are we doing here? And then Jupiter, we want to build applications for people to use that don't cost you an arm and a leg to use. And you just happen to send Jupiter across it, and you can buy staking assets. And we have, 1-to-1 pegging of US dollars and Bitcoin and Ethereum that ride on top of our asset or on top of our blockchain. That's not that is not what we claim to be. It's a function we have because it was asked of us to build it.
Great.
Good question, though. I like that question.
Are there any other questions in the audience? It was a really nice session, though. A lot of good questions are there from this audience today.
Definitely.
We do hope that we have cleared a lot of buzz about blockchain and how to start building your applications using that, right? And if you guys have any questions, definitely Jupiter has a Discord group, right? And Telegram link as well. All of those links are shared in the chat above. Definitely go in that community, ask your questions there. They'll definitely help you guys achieve solve your queries, right? And one thing that I'll recommend is go ahead, check the Metis app on Play Store. It's actually on Play Store. And what you can do is you can look through the whole mechanism of how to build an application that uses a blockchain. Metis has step-by-step instructions of all those things, right? And it would be really insightful for you guys to do that. Okay, there's a question.
How are we going to change the world besides the transaction fees, maybe? Is that what you're asking?
Ankit?
So I guess I'll kind of guess on what he's asking. So
can you hear me, sir?
yeah.
So my question is like, we have, blockchain, on blockchain, we have this Bitcoin, Ethereum, all those things. They are right now, as far as my knowledge is concerned, like we are, they are going to completely change, financial institutions, the way the banks and all the all of them work. Okay. Other than that, that financial steps, like tech, coming to like other industry, let's take medical industry. So how it's going to affect those industries?
Oh, okay. So like one of the things that I'm building now and working with a project is to build medical record storage. And if I we want to build have you ever heard of DocuSign or other digital signature websites that you go and businesses pay $5 a month to be able to sign stuff, send it to you so you can sign it for like buying houses or wills or trusts or insurance products. Those types of things you can build on Jupiter, and you can charge a subscription fee if you want to build it, but you can charge $1 because it costs you nothing to send those stuff around and allow them to digitally sign this stuff. Medical records, everything we store on all of the data we store using Jupiter FS, which is the file system layer, it's fully encrypted. So I can store all my medical records in my account. So when I move doctors, I'll be able to go into the doctor's office and provably show them, hey, here's my medical records from my last doctor because my doctor digitally signed all of them and they're all stored here, instead of waiting for the doctor's office to send that stuff to the next doctor's office because they only do it via fax because it's so archaic. Those types of system things that you currently go through a third party to verify stuff and wait on them to verify it, you won't have to do that any longer because the simple fact that you can digitally sign it and it be mathematically proved who signed it, and you can prove that you signed it, and you can store all of those data or all of those documents on chain encrypted. It becomes less and less incentivized to hack websites and steal data because there's no data to steal.
How is it different from storing the data on Google Drive or my mobile phone and showing it to the next house?
So, Pirit, could you?
One more time?
How is this storing of medical information on the Google Drive or my phone and showing it to the next doctor instead
So
of going through
so
this process?
so if you have Google Drive on your phone right now, Google scans every single document you ever put in your Google Drive. They scan it, they look at it, there's some artificial intelligence gleans any kind of advertising data they can from your document. And for that, you get the convenience of being able to open it on your phone for free. The way this new system works is you'll still be able to open it on your phone, but to store the document, you're going to pay a very small transaction fee. However, unlike Google Drive, when you pay for it $5 a month to have a terabyte of space or whatever the current economic system is, you pay for it one time on Jupiter and it's stored there for it's forever. It's stored there forever and ever and ever. And you can get to it at any time on your phone because there's an app to get to it on your phone. Same principle. It's the same thing as Google Drive. It's just not Google, and you don't pay for it with your personal identifying information. To sign up for Google, you had to give them an email address, which it could be a fake email address, but you had to give them something. And then they want you to confirm it with a phone number. You don't have to give them a phone number, but they really ask for it because that's just one more data point they have on you. And then when you go to Google, they put a cookie in your browser, and that little cookie follows you around the internet. So if you go anywhere on the internet, that Google tracking cookie is telling Google where you went. And then some artificial intelligence in the background figures out what you want to see before you even know it. That's the difference.
But sir, you know,
The reason that's so important to me, the reason that bugs me so much is because one day I was in Facebook Messenger and I was talking to one of my friends, and one of our friends was killed in action in Iraq. And we were talking about sending his wife flowers. And it was a deeply personal conversation. And I don't look for flowers. That's just not something I do. But what happened? Everywhere I looked for the next week, I saw flowers, and they wanted to sell me flowers. And it pissed me off because I was talking to a friend about one of our friends being killed in action. And then Facebook, they don't care why you were looking or talked about flowers or said flowers. They don't care. They just want to sell you shit because they're an advertising company. And that is where I decided that I wanted to change the way things work. So there's that story that I've never told anybody.
Guys, any further questions that we have? I believe today everybody will have a second look at Google, Facebook, and Twitter and YouTube, right? All of these things.
All
And
those Web
maybe
2.0 systems are going to go away. They will all be abstracted into obscurity.
So guys, this is the power of Web 3.0. This is the scale that we are talking about, right? And this space right now, it needs developers. It needs people like you. So step forward, try building something, and stay connected with us in the community. If you guys have any, are the miners who authenticate these data can be trusted? Can they extract it? Ankit.
So the miners are so there is no quote unquote mining of Jupiter. They are forgers, and we've kind of discussed that. So go back and listen to the audio. They can't they extract it? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but when you find a block in Jupiter, you get the transaction fees if there are transaction fees in that block.
I mean, by extracted, he must have meant if they can change it. The miners can change the information
So
or
you
something
have
like
to
that.
have changing blocks in decentralized protocols is very hard unless you're like Bitcoin Cash and they don't have enough mining power, or Ethereum Classic where they don't have enough mining power. And that's the problem with proof of work systems that aren't Ethereum or Bitcoin. Proof of stake, you'd have to have half of the Jupiter, 500 million, and then you'd have to it's very complex. It's not easy to do. If it was easy, people would do it all the time, and they only do it all the time to things that are highly centralized or don't have enough hashing power to protect themselves. And that was another thing with proof of stake that I like. It's very low power, it's very green, it's very economically or ecologically friendly. So no, they can't change it. You'd have to change. Think of a tower of Legos, and then in this Lego here, you want to change it. You have to take all these other Legos off, change this Lego, put a new Lego in, put all the other Lego blocks back, and then tell everybody in the world that's running your node that you're right and they're all wrong. It's not going to happen.
All right, then. I believe that's it for the questions too. Right. And any closing statements, Stephen?
No, get out there, build Web 3.0. If you're not building Web 3.0, you're already a dinosaur.
Great. On that note, guys, definitely check out the Discord group and stay connected. If you have some questions, go ahead and share those questions there. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much for your time. It was really insightful. I hope that everybody enjoyed it. Right, and definitely looking forward to see you guys in the groups. Right, and looking
Definitely.
forward to talk to some of them at least. Some place in the future that they're building something. Right.
Definitely. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Stephen.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye, everybody. Thank you.